What's up YouTube? Dale here from Deskbot Games. Sorry it's been so long, guys. I think the last thing we brought you was gold box opening. It's just been quite... well, I've been quite busy, to be honest. But we are back and we have more videos to give to you. So we've got a couple of deck profiles. But before we get into that, I just want to say a massive thank you to all the subscribers that we've got. We finally hit over 100. I know it's not a massive number, but for something that we've just chucked together for a bit of fun and to try and expand the Yu-Gi-Oh! Those playing Yu-Gi-Oh! It's great to hit something like 100 subscribers, to know that there's at least 100 people that are behind us and enjoy what we're doing. So without further ado, I'm going to bring you a new deck profile. I tried this deck out at my locals and I came joint second with it. I think it was 4 wins and 1 loss, and the loss was to Cosmo. So without further ado, it's a very nice, very cheap budget deck. It's Despots. So we'll get straight onto it. So straight away you run 2 Despot 1s. This is the tuner. Some people only run 1 of it. I run 2 of it just to try and add to the synchro output. And you'll see in my site extra deck when we get to that. But basically this card gains 500 attack defense for each machine type monster you control. And then if 2 or more machine type monsters are special summoned at the same time while this card is in the graveyard, I can special summon this card, except during the damage step. So basically when you pendulum summon out, as soon as you pendulum summon out more and this guy's in the graveyard, you can bring him back. So yeah, and he gets up to a stupid amount. If you have a full board and you bring him out, he's on like he's on 25 already. I know even more than that. He'll be on 3k because he gains 500 for himself as well. So it just gets crazy. And then when you add him with 3, which we'll get to in a minute, it gets even worse. 3 Despot 2s. This card is... The best thing about Despots is they start at 500, so you can get around bottomless, give or take, every now and then. So basically with Despot 2, the combo is you would use normal summon 3, 3 searches out 2, 2 only effect goes off when it's special summoned, and he adds a Despot card to your hand. He gives 500 attack to all machine cards except himself. So 500 attack defense to all machine cards except himself. So I mean, if you've only got him in your hand in a machine duplication, you drop him, special summon 2, search 2 out, and then you can pretty much pendulum something straight away. Now on to probably the best card, or at least one of the best cards in the deck, Despot number 3. This card is an absolute beast. So, normal summon, special summon another Despot, any Despot, from 1 all the way up to 8. And even with the new card coming out, Despot 9, we'll do a new deck profile when that comes out, but my gosh, is that card insane. So, Despot 3. Normal summon it, special summon 1 Despot from your deck, except 3. And then during either player's turn, you can target 1 Despot monster you control. It gains 500 attack and defense for each Despot card you currently control. So, new field spell coming out. That will count as 1. 2 pendulum zones, and then 5 monsters. So what's that? That's 8. So straight away, that's a 4k add just from this card. And then imagine if you have 3 2s on the field. So straight away, this card's 4,500 by its own effect. I mean, if you have 2 3s on the field, 9,000 straight away. Then add your 2s on. It's just plus and plus and plus and plus. It is insane the levels of attack some of these Despots can get to. Which brings you on to Despot 4. Now, Despot 4, basically, again, during either player's turn, during damage calculation, you send a Despot from your deck to the grave, and this card gains 500 per level. Usually you're sending like Despot 8s or Despot 7s. But the only catch is it doesn't do any damage. You can't do damage for the rest of the turn, so you want to attack with this card last. Or basically it's like an ever-standing honest, in a way, with Despot 4. but basically when it destroys an opponent's monster, you get to special summon 2 Deskbot cards. So the Deskbot card you've just sent, you're going to be special summoning it back anyway, in defense position. So he constantly recycles. So yeah, you want to get him and 3 on the field as quickly as kind of possible. Deskbot 5, 3 of those. He's your way into Infinity, and Infinity is a machine type, so it will get all the boosts from everything else as well. But basically, you want to be putting 5 and 6 in your pendulum zones, not really 8 and 7 unless you absolutely have to. So basically, when this is normal or special summons, you can target 1 spell or trap card on the field and destroy it. It gains 500 attack for each face-up Deskbot monster in your extra deck. And then if this card is destroyed in your pendulum zone, you target 1 Deskbot monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Which is pretty much the same with Deskbot 6. So again, scale 1, Deskbot 5, scale 10. Deskbot 6, when it's normal or special summon, you target 1 monster on the field and change its battle position. And then when it's destroyed, it gains 500 for each face-up extra deck monster. And then in your extra deck, and then if it's destroyed, you target 1 Deskbot card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So pretty straightforward on that one. I run 2 Deskbot 7s. Most people only run 1 of these, but I run 2 mainly to give that extra 10 scale. I know I said you don't really want to be using him, but if you want Infinity on the board, you kind of need to use him and 8 to get the 5s out rather than putting the 5 in the scale. Anyway, so this guy basically gains 500 attack for each Deskbot card in your graveyard. Monster your opponent controls cannot target face-up Deskbot monsters for attacks except this one. And then if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. So if they're trying to wall up, you get this guy on the field with a 3, boost him with 3, bang, straight through. 2 Deskbot 8s. Again, I run 2 of these mainly for Felground in my extra deck. Just giving it a bit of a tester out at the moment, but you kind of want 2 of these anyway. Obviously, all pendulum effects for Deskbots is they can only pendulum summon Deskbot monsters. Not that you'd really want to. And then the only Deskbot that can't be pendulum summoned is Deskbot 1 because it's a level 1. So again, this card gains 500 for each card in your graveyard. Your opponent cannot target face-up Deskbot cards with card effects except this one. And this card can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during the battle phase. So if they've got 2 beat sticks on the field, pump this with 3, and whatever's in your grave, bang, bang, and then straight through. So that's kind of it for the Deskbot monsters. I do run, obviously, some other monsters in there. So I run 2 Speedroid Menko. It's an Eevee card. It's a machine type, so again, it works with all the boosts. And then when your opponent wants to declare a direct attack while this card is in your hand, you special summon this card in an attack position, and if you do, change all face-up monsters your opponent controls to defense position. It's basically, if you've got no back row, it's stop your opponent right there for a turn, and then hopefully you rebuild for the next turn. Unless they've got like an Armades and that, and then you're kind of stuffed. 2 effect veilers, because with this meta day and age, you kind of want to stop your opponent's effects as best as you possibly can. And then 1 glow up bulb just to help get you into that. So Deskbot 1 is also a Tune at Earth, so this gets you into Natura Beast more, and then you can bring it back from the grave if you're in dire need. So that's kind of it for the monsters. Onto the spells. We've got 3 Machine Dupe. Again, this card can be quite difficult, because as soon as you activate it on your 2s, so usually you'd activate it on a 2, bring out 2 more Deskbot 2s, get the effects off of those, but then you can't activate another one because all them 2s are going to boost everything up, so this can only be used on a face-up monster with 500 or less on your side of the field. So it's kind of, you want it early game rather than late game, unless you're truly stuck and you only have the 1 Deskbot on the field. Double MST, I know most people are doing Twin Twisters this time, but I quite like having the safety net of, if I don't have anything in my hand to discard, I can still pop a back row or pop a scale. These can easily be changed out. I do run 1 Twin Twister, so I mean you could either do 1 MST and 1 Twin Twister, or however you like to do it. Reasoning, because you run levels 1, or you will be running levels 1 to 9. At the moment you run levels 1 to 8. So, you know, you've got a 1 in 9 chance, your opponent's got a 1 in 9 or 1 in 8 chance of hitting the card that you want out. Most people are going to call 3 or 4 to stop that happening, or even 2. So yeah, you'll be okay if most other stuff hits the field. It's just an extra special summon. And then 1 obs, Regeki, pretty standard on that. The 1 Twin Twister, again, you can change that to however you like it. And then 1 limiter removal, quick play. So if you're ever in trouble, or you just want to finish off that OTK, if you've boosted up your Deskbot 3 to 4500, that's a 9k straight away with limiter removal. So, you know, if you're not breaking through on that, then something's a bit wrong. 2 Quaking Mirror Forces, this is my personal tech. I love this card, probably one of the best Mirror Forces there is. Obviously I would try out the new Mirror Force coming out in Shining Victories, maybe instead of the Menko, but again it means you need to keep your back row, and your opponent can easily get rid of back row. So yeah, 2 Quaking Mirror Force. For those of you who don't know what they do, when your opponent attacks or their face-up attack position monsters are turned face down defense and they can't change their battle position. So if they pendulum someone out of full board, unless they've got monsters in the hand they're going to tribute for, they're stuffed. And then 1 Solemn Strike, 1 Solemn Warning, and 1 Bottomless Trap Hole. Pretty standard on that. You could run more strikes if you really want to. I'm quite happy with the 1 at the moment. It's kind of a tight build deck at the moment, especially when the field spell and 9 comes out. Quite a few things might change in that. Okay, so on to the extra deck. So we've got level 11 Star Eater. Again, just a tester. Nothing really set in stone for this one, but you can make it. I think I found myself at the weekend being able to make it once or twice. And then Trishula, I made that. I think I made this once in a BA matchup and it helped me out massively. 1 Deskbot Jet, 1 yugioh Guardian, 1 Naturia Bacchion, just for the traps in case you really need to. And then obviously this card that can be a massive pain in everyone's backside that runs spells or pendulums. Naturia Beast, run 2 of those. Glow Up Bulb or Deskbot 1 and then Deskbot 4, or however you want to make it. And not many people make main Book of Moon, so when this is on the field, and unless they can Book of Moon it or stop it from being face up, it's going to constantly keep popping. And then if you hit Despots when you're doing its effect and you put Despots into your grave, if you get out an 8 or a 7, they're going to be boosted up anyway. It's not foolproof, but it's definitely a nice card to have if you can make it. High Speed Roy Chambara is a great card. I love this card when I can get it into a synchro deck. So it's a level 5, quite easy to make. Even with an Effect Veiler, I used to run this in my tellers as well. So with the Effect Veiler, you attack for 22. So it starts with 2k, but your first attack it gains 200, and then it gets to attack again and gains 24. So then it's a 24 beater after your first turn, and then next turn it's constantly gaining 200, so 26 and then a 28, and next turn a 3 and a 3-2. So basically your opponent doesn't want this to stay on the field too long. 1 Felgrand, just because it's Felgrand. It can be taken out and not a set in stone card that needs to be there. And then Nova and Infinity. Because with Ptelemais out of the way, this is probably one of the few decks that can actually run Infinity and run it well, apart from like Galaxies and stuff like that. 1 Castel, because it's Castel. You pretty much, if you can make rank 4s, you want Castel in your deck. 1 106 Giant Hand. Never really went into this at the weekend. It's okay, I suppose. It's just there for effect negation, but it's not a dire card. You don't need to have this card in there. 1 Abyss Dweller. 1 Golgol Cowboy if you're stuck and you need to burn them for the 800. And then 1 Sky Cavalry Centura. Again, you make him with 2 Deskbot 2s. You've just got to kind of decide if his effect is worth more than 2 Deskbot 2s on the field boosting your other cards. So that's kind of it for the main deck. I will go into the, not so much side deck, because again, side deck is basically what you face, but I'll go through some extra cards that I feel can really help this deck, or that you can side in against most decks and they don't like it. So Imperial Iron Wall, pretty standard. You don't need to banish at all in your deck, and some decks really do. Commoditech Fortress Dragon, again, Cosmos, and it just means you have to sacrifice your Infinity. One Leo. Again, these are cards that you can put in, they're not desperately needed to be put in. Diamond Crab King if you need a stronger rank 4. Soul Drain. It'll pretty much only stop your Deskbot 1, so it's not a major loss to yourself. And then one card that kind of stunned my opponent when I played his Cosmos was Gravity Bind. So you're good with your 1, your 2, your 3 and your XYZs, and then your 3 is kind of your beat stick anyway. So you shut down your opponent. Monarchs, very good against Monarchs, because they kind of can't do anything. They kind of stuck. In this day of meta, you want an anti-spell fragrance there, just to keep you safe. But then this is also another touch. I played it with my tellers, so I did a teller Ariadne build that I can go through as well after this one. But this card, if you can pull it off, and even if you're willing to pay the cost, it will shut down so much. So Curse Seal the Forbidden Spell. You discard a spell card from your hand and negate the activation and the effect of a spell card and destroy it. Your opponent cannot activate spell cards of the same name, including the spell card that is destroyed by this card effect, during the rest of the duel. So I think the best time I used this was against an Infernoid player. They played Reasoning, I played this, that's it. They were stuck for the rest of the game. Pendulums, I'm not too sure how this works as pendulums, but the way I would see it is when they put a card in the pendulum zone, it's treated as a spell. So activating this would negate, destroy that card, and then they wouldn't be allowed to use that card as a pendulum scale spell for the rest of the duel. That's the way I see it. I'm not too sure if... I mean, by all means, if you know how it definitely plays out, then please let me know in the comments below. But that's kind of how I would see it. So yeah, that is it for the Deskbot deck. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and keep the followers coming. We're really enjoying it. Sorry it's been so long again, but we will be flooding you down with, I think I've got 2 more deck profiles to do for you guys today, and get them up for you. So yeah, thanks for all that, and happy dueling.